The first reason why a Christian should not sin is God. Don't commit immorality. If you commit immorality, you can get pregnant out of wedlock. Okay, we have a solution to that. You hear them say things like, it's not because of God, it's because of you we say you should not sin. That's not the gospel. I'm sorry. It is because of God that you should not sin, first and foremost. So that even if you found all possible ways to mitigate consequence, it will still be wrong to sin. But you are a married man. If you do this, your wife will be heartbroken. We have found a way she will never find out. I'm simply saying to you that there's more to sin than consequences. Sin is an aberration to the way that things were designed by God to be. Joseph hung that ball in God's court. He said, how can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? He didn't mention Potiphar, the one that troubles me, and it even troubles Bible scholars. I've seen some of them trying to play gymnastics around it. It's David. This man opened his mouth and said, oh God, against thee only have I sinned. I say, sir, a man died. You took a man's wife. So sin is not first and foremost about me. No, it's first and foremost about God. If you are guilty and you don't feel guilty, you have a bigger problem than your guilt. The problem is not that you feel guilty when you are guilty. You should feel guilty when you are guilty. The lie that Satan tells is to make you feel that because you are guilty, you are no longer accepted. When Isaiah saw God, he saw his sin. But the issue is the place where they amplify your sin. That's the same place where the remedy is. Isaiah didn't need to leave that same space in order to receive help for his problem. There are coals of fire. There's an arrangement. There's an economy in God. Not only to identify sin, but to deal with it. Remember the story of the paralyzed guy that was brought by 4 people, couldn't find the way to Jesus, and they broke the roof. When Jesus saw the guy, the first thing Jesus said from his mouth to the paralyzed man is, son, thy sins are forgiven thee. You think about it. You are meeting somebody for the first time and you are forgiving their sins. How? From where to where? This is Lagos. There are all kinds of interesting things that happen on your road. If somebody ran into another person's car, and then both of them, as they normally do, the person whose car has been bashed stops, so he creates a traffic, and then he goes behind him to meet the guy that bashed him, and they are shouting back and forth. Then you come out of your own Lexus and say, hey, gentlemen, what's going on here? And this one say, look at this guy. I was just driving my own, and then from the back, I just heard, boom, and he hit me. He said, Mr. Man, what happened now? He said, to be honest, I was distracted. I was actually checking my phone, and I didn't realize we're that close. That's how I hit him. Then I now say, okay, Mr. Man, it's okay, I forgive you. Just no problem, you can go. Exactly. That's the point. That was what Jesus was doing that day. Have you asked the consent of all the people this man sinned against to say your sins are forgiven? What that means is that every time that we sin, ultimately, it is really against God that we sin. Otherwise, how do you meet a man that you have never met before and you are forgiving the man's sins? What if the people he sinned against are not willing to forgive him? Don't let anybody tell you, well, it's because of you. He says you should not sin. It do not affect God. Sin blurs the glory of God. In fact, Jesus, your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. On the day of national atonement, you know the story. There used to be those 2 goats. One was the scapegoat, and the scapegoat was the one they laid hands upon. The sins of Israel were confessed upon it, and it was taken by the hands of 2 fit men far away from the camp into the bush, symbolizing that the sin of national Israel, the sin of the people of God, had been taken far away from them. But there was a second goat, because even though the sin has been taken far away, there's still a gap that exists between the people and their God, because there is something that sin does in the relationship that exists between you and God. So the second goat was killed and the blood was taken into the Holy of Holies. That is propitiation. The first goat is expiation. Sin is dealt with by both expiation and propitiation. There is something between you and God, a gap on account of your sin that needs to be made up. And then there is what sin made you that needs to be changed. So when Jesus died, he died both to take away our sin and to reconcile us back to God, because sin did something to our relationship with God. The first reason why a Christian should not sin is God.